What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, we're back again, bringing you yet another tier list video. Now, as we like to do, I like to do these at the start of each month. It's nearing the end of March. Currently, when I'm recording this, it's the 30th of March, so it's not quite April just yet. However, I still want to bring you guys this video discussing, in my thoughts and opinions, on the current legends in One Piece Treasure Cruise and where I would rank them in a tier list style fashion. So it's going to be the exact same format that we've had in the previous tier list videos. If you guys want to stay up to date with kind of how the tier list is going, make sure you go check out the most recent video, and I like to update these every single month. So without further ado, let's get straight into it, and starting from the bottom, and we're going to work all the way up to the top. We're going to talk about the notable legends first. So the notable legends are going to be Shirahoshi, Magellan, Buggy, Marco, Usopp 6+ and his 6-star version, and also NL. To be honest, I don't think there's any changes here. There doesn't really need to be any changes. I'm pretty sure this is the exact same as last month. All of these characters are characters that are not characters that are going to enable you to clear some very high-level content as captains, but their special abilities, or just what they do as what they function like, are very, very good. You got Shirahoshi, obviously she heals, and a full board of matching orbs, which is fantastic. Her captain ability is still pretty good though, allowing you to basically zombie through content reasonably easily. Magellan, we all know how good he is, the best poisoner in the game, and has a pretty decent captain ability as well. Buggy, obviously not going to be used to clear very high level content at all, but duplicating your treasure is quite nice, and also with his 6+ recently coming out as well is actually pretty awesome as well. Marco, similar to Shirahoshi, giving you a massive amount of heal and an orb boost. However, the orb boost is very, very minimal, so I would expect Marco to be getting a 6+ very, very soon, hopefully very soon. But hopefully not the same line of 6+ as Kizaru or Buggy, because those 6+s were, you know, kind of hit or miss. But Marco should be getting a 6+ hopefully soon. And then we've got Usopp 6+ and 6-star. The 6-star one's nice, you know, 5-turn delay at max, and also adds to the chain multiplier, whereas the 6-star +1 allows you to delay through a debuff protector, which honestly isn't that important right now. It could be very, very relevant in the future, but as of right now, it's not really too meta relevant at all. And then you've got NL, who's a very niche type of legend, very rare recruit and legend heavy teams with NL in order to make very, very effective teams. Most likely, if you have NL, you want to go ahead and get your hands on Shirahoshi and also Marco as well. That will enable you to use NL as best as possible. But with that special to deal 2 million damage is actually quite effective. But that's just kind of the notable legends, and as I said, nothing really too notable to really talk about. We've already talked about these characters in depth in previous tier list videos, but now let's go ahead and move on to the actual start of the tier list, starting at tier 2, then tier 1, and then tier 0. Okay, we're moving on to tier 2 right now. So tier 2 is the lowest bracket of legends in my specific tier list. I have not got every single legend on this listing. Basically, if a legend isn't on this list, it's not that good in comparison. However, you know, tier 2 will basically be the most largest pool of legends, with legends that are not like amazing top tier. They're going to clear 100% everything very, very effectively, but they're not legends that can basically do nothing. They are actually pretty good legends still, but they're not as close to the top tier as some of the other legends in the game. So we've got Blackbeard, Kuzan+, Bato+, Crocodile+, Zoro+, Mihawk+, Hody+, Akainu, Boa Hancock V2, and also Timeskip Luffy. All these legends are pretty good. You know, we've talked about these guys extensively in previous tier list videos as well. Blackbeard being such an amazing unit that can go through barriers, and also can be utilized as a friend captain with a lot of other leads, such as, you know, Lucy, Kuzan, Cavendish. I believe there's some other ones that I'm missing. You know, there are a ton of different units that can utilize Blackbeard as a captain very, very well. Kuzan+ has an amazing special ability and actually a really decent captain ability as well. Bato+ got an amazing buff, being a striker and driven booster. Crocodile, it got an amazing limit break. We've already talked about these guys extensively, as I've said, but Crocodile is amazing. Crocodile has really nice utility with some of the more recent support for Cerebral, so he's great. Zoro and Mihawk+, amazing 6-star pluses for slasher teams, which aren't really too meta relevant right now, but are still really great by themselves. Amazing captain abilities and very, very good special abilities as well. Hody+ recently came out to Global, and all the Global players are now starting to understand the power of 6-star plus Hody Jones. He is an absolutely amazing legend. Then you've got Akainu. Now, Akainu's kind of an interesting one, right? Because he got a semi-buff, I would say, with the introduction of V2 Shanks, and also the fact that with V2 Akainu, both of those two characters can actually benefit the original Akainu. Although I don't really think it really would buff Akainu that much to make him go up a tier, he is still decent, he can still clear a lot of content. Maybe not as effective as a lot of the other legends, but he did get actually a semi-buff with the introduction of V2 Shanks and V2 Akainu being color boosters. Well, obviously Akainu being strength and int booster, and then you've got the Shanks, who isn't really directly supporting Akainu, but is kind of like a supporting unit you can put on the team to help out like a full strength team on an Akainu team, and it works really, really well. Shanks is such an amazing unit. We'll go through him a little bit later on in this video. V2 Boa, I am still keeping her here, though shooters really are kind of bad. They're probably the worst class in the game at this current time. A lot of people say, oh no, fighters are the worst, but the thing is, the Luffy and Ace Free Spirit batch that came out relatively recently, every single unit in that batch, aside from that Oars, who is a support for Slasher and Powerhouse, every unit in that batch was a Free Spirit fighter. So technically, fighters got a semi-buff with the introduction of Luffy and Ace. That legend was actually extremely powerful. Even though it is a Free Spirit team, all of the characters on the team, and then you can even put 6+ Sabo on the team as well, who is also a fighter. So you can run a full Free Spirit fighter team, and you can use it for Fighter Kai missions if you really wanted to. So fighters got an indirect support from that batch, but I would still say at this current time, shooters are the worst in the game. They don't have a lot of utility, they don't have a lot of power. Their orb manipulation is based off only Boa herself. They don't even have a 2x orb boost, which is still crazy to me. It's still mind-boggling that shooters do not have a natural 2x orb booster. They do have an orb booster in the realm of the treasure mode Boa, but that's only in treasure map. You know, you want it in natural gameplay as well against Colosseums and raid bosses and stuff like that. Unfortunately, that isn't the case right now. I really do hope that shooters do get support in the future, but as of right now, they are really, really bad. And then you got Timeskip Luffy as well, which we did mention briefly in the previous video when we went over Luffy and Ace. Timeskip Luffy did get a semi-buff because he can still use Luffy Ace as a friend captain and still beat content with some relative power with that. Just the thing, Timeskip Luffy is only a 2.5 base, goes up to a 4x only for 3 turns. The thing is if you are using Timeskip Luffy, a majority of the time, you're going to want to be using his special ability multiple times per run, especially if it's a Colosseum stage or a very, very difficult piece of content. Meaning that you have to stall a long time, which means that Timeskip Luffy is a very, very slow captain, but he is still quite effective because, as I mentioned, you can use Luffy Ace as well. But that's kind of just my overview of Tier 2. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If there are any other legends that you can think of that could be in this tier, make sure to let me know. In my opinion as well, I'm just thinking of this right now, potentially V1 Law 6+ could slide into this tier as well. Slashers, as I mentioned before, are not meta relevant, but are still really good. They can still clear a majority, if not all, the content in the game with V2 Fuji, my bad, as the captain. And also, we mentioned just Free Spirits before with Timeskip Luffy. Like, the V1 Law 6+ was an amazing buff for that lore as a unit with a massive amount of cooldown reduction. He gets a massive amount of cooldown reduction yet again with his limit break. I think it maxes at like, what, 8 turns or 12 turns, something like that. So he's a crazy unit. He's a very, very good unit overall. And he would probably be the only unit I can think of off the top of my head that would slide into this tier 2 position here. But now that we've gone ahead and overviewed the tier 2, let's go ahead and move on to tier number 1. So now let's move on to tier number 1. Now, the legends in tier 1 are a lot better than the legends that we just talked about in tier 2. However, they are just not as good as the ones that are in the tier above them in tier 0. So, in tier 1 we have Neko Mamashi Cat Viper, V2 Law, the Striker version, Nico Robin, the V2 Law 6+, the Cerebral version, V2 Fujitora, V2 Lucci, Frankie, and we also have V2 Rayleigh. So the major changes here was, I actually, after the last tier list video, I'm not too sure if I had V2 Lucci in the top tier. I might have, I don't remember exactly, but I did do that during the middle of the month. He was in tier 0, moved him back down to tier 1, just because I feel, personally, I think he fits in the tier 1 position just a little bit better. Then I moved Frankie up from tier 2, and I moved V2 Rayleigh down from tier 0. So, Lucci, Frankie, and Rayleigh were all of the moves that happened. And one thing that I want to say before we talk about each of these characters is I believe V2 Law Striker might move down, because I was looking at the list of Striker characters a couple of days ago, and personally, I don't think Strikers are the best class in the game anymore. I really don't believe they have the capabilities to take on some of the more recent content as well as some of the other classes in the game, and especially because they are going in a route of trying to push color-based teams now instead of class-based teams. We might not be seeing support for some of these classes in a really long time. So you know, I really hope the shooters, as I mentioned before, I hope the shooters do get a good amount of support soon. It seems like they are trying to push this color-based meta at the moment. So at this current time, Law only being a 3x attack boost is actually reasonably weak. The reason why I believe the Striker one should drop but the Cerebral one should stay is the fact that Cerebral have so much utility. They can get around anything that really is thrown their way, and they have a crap ton of support with the most recent batches in Nico Robin's batch, and also the fact that the Treasure Mode Sabu came out. Like, there's so many good support units for Cerebral now. Cerebral are legitimately one of the best classes in the entire game, and I believe they are better than Striker right now. Striker are slowly slipping. They're still extremely powerful, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Striker are bad. I'm just saying that Cerebral have just gotten so much support that they are probably better at the moment compared to Strikers. But overall, all of these legends are extremely powerful to have in your arsenal to take on any content in One Piece Treasure Cruise. So, Neko Mamashi, I have mixed feelings on Neko. I pulled him recently, which was pretty hype, on the recent Treasure Mode Sugo on Global against Mihawk. That was pretty cool. I got to use him against Invasion Garp, who just arrived on Global as well. And if you guys were on the stream, you guys know how that went. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of Neko. After using some of the other legends in the game and moving on to Neko, I don't know how people use this guy. I understand how he works, I understand how to use him, but I don't understand why so many people are so resilient in using Neko. I just find him extremely frustrating. Just when you move into a stage and you have a tandem orb or you have a recovery orb, even with the bike, the rates for recovery orbs aren't reduced by such a significant amount that you never see them. You will still see recovery orbs, you will still see tandem orbs. I don't know, I find him extremely frustrating to use, because even with, you know, level 3 matching orbs and the bike, you're still going to be getting tandem and recovery orbs, and it's extremely frustrating because he doesn't give a boost with those types of orbs. He only gives a boost with colored orbs. So I don't like him that much. Personally, I'm not a big fan of him, but you can't take away the feats that he is able to produce in One Piece Treasure Cruise. You know, a 3.75 base multiplier with, I think it's a 1.3, 1.25, 1 point something HP boost as well. His special ability would change all those colored orbs into matching, which is quite fantastic. He's a great unit. He's a fantastic unit. Just personally, myself, I find him extremely frustrating to use. Law, we just mentioned, 3 times multiplying for his captain was acceptable quite a long time ago. It is starting to slip a little bit. I feel like 3 times multiplier might start to drop, honestly. You've got units like Robin here as well, who's a 3.25, which is slightly higher. It's slightly higher, but the thing is, you can actually partner Robin up with another one of the Cerebral Legends extremely well, and you're going to be able to click content extremely easy. Obviously, Law can still be partnered up with Neko, but then you got to deal with shit still with the fact that, you know, if you find a tandem or recovery orb, you're not getting a boost or whatever, but that's another argument there. Robin, fantastic unit. I don't believe she needs to go up, and I don't believe she needs to go down. This is the perfect position for Robin, in my personal opinion. You've got V2 Law 6+, who is fantastic for Cerebral teams. That ability to do 200k AoE and removing a barrier turn is actually fantastic. He's a great unit overall. I really wish that the Striker Law had the AoE fixed damage as well. That would have been fantastic. Unfortunately, that's not the case. But then you got V2 Fujitora. V2 Fujitora is the best slasher captain in the game right now. I'm pretty sure he's the best slasher captain. Yes, he's the best slasher captain in the game. It's just the fact that he increases damage received by 1.2 as a captain. So if you're running double V2 Fuji, you're taking 1.44 extra damage, which is quite bad if you are, you know, having to tank hits. And even as a sub as well. When he's a sub and you use his special, he only just does damage, and he might delay. I don't remember if the delay works when he's the captain or not, but he only gives you a full board of matching orbs when he is the captain, which is a pretty big drawback to him. But as a captain, he is quite exceptional. There isn't really too much of a reason that you would use him not as a captain on a slasher team. If you're on a slasher team and you have V2 Fuji, you should be using him as the captain, unless if there are weird hybrid teams where you have to use certain captains, like using Int Hawk or Treasure Mode Hawk. That's the big thing there, is with Fujitora as your captain, he is amazing when you use Treasure Mode Mihawk as a sub, because you've got Fuji gives you the matching orbs, Treasure Mode Mihawk will make you get the 2x orb boost and giving you the 2.75 chain lock. So that combination is so good. But you're doing so much damage, right? It would be nice to have Int Hawk on the team, just so you can go ahead and spam that special after you do a shit ton of damage with Treasure Mode Mihawk and also Fujitora as the captain. Just so much damage, but you just can't run Int Hawk and Treasure Hawk on the same team. A little bit of a kerfuffle there, and that is definitely some sort of argument that you have to try and make with yourself, is which one do you want to use in a certain situation. It all just depends on the content, obviously, but there are definite replacements for each of these units. Obviously, 6+ Zora is a chain locker as well when he's a sub, so that is also a potential thing to do as well. So yeah, that can kind of fix that situation there. So if you don't want to bring Treasure Hawk and you bring 6+ Zora on the team as a sub, you then can go ahead and bring the Int Hawk as a sub as well in order to do that extra damage on a different turn, which is quite good. V2 Lucci, obviously, probably the equal best powerhouse captain in the game. Technically, you got Judge as well. Judge is also a powerhouse captain, technically, because you're going to be using the Germa kids on the team. But outside of Germa, I do think that Lucci is the better powerhouse captain. But obviously, if you have Germa, then Judge is going to be your best powerhouse lead overall. So yeah, not really too much to say about V2 Lucci. We all know how good he is. Frankie, now, Frankie's an interesting one as well. I talked about this extensively in the previous tier list video. I'm not a big fan of Frankie. Kind of like the same situation as Neko, where why would I want to use Neko when I can use X of the legend? Or why would I want to use Frankie when I can use X legend, you know? Frankie's a very interesting legend. He's a fun legend, but I just can't see myself using him all that much. He does have some quite nice things. 3x base multiplier. You need to have, every unit on your team needs to have one of the 4 original classes, fighter, shooter, striker, slasher, in order to get your boost. So that is kind of the drawback of him. You can't bring anyone that's like a cerebral free spirit or like a driven cerebral or anything like that. So you can't use V2 Dofi on his team, which is a little bit annoying, because you can do some crazy damage with Frankie. And he partners really well with some other units as a friend captain, but that's just the thing, is that the One Piece Treasure Cruise game, the way it works, is that building teams that are hybrids are pretty annoying to do, because it is hard to find friend captains of a different captain than what you are trying to use, unless if you have that captain. So you can use one captain to find another captain and then switch to a different team. That is the way to do it, but then you got to have both captains in order to do it. It's just a really annoying way to do things. Frankie probably does work better when you use a hybrid, but the thing about Frankie is that you can use his captain action to like wave clear rooms, which is extremely useful on certain pieces of content. And I think I saw Alex Kim do a video, or might have been Shattered Fortress, I don't remember who it was. Someone did a video utilizing Frankie, and they basically like speedrun a raid, and they just use the captain action to just wave clear some of the easier stages, and it's actually really cool. But personally, I don't think he's the best legend, but he's definitely not a really bad legend either, and I think this is a perfect position for Frankie to be in. And then the last legend that we're going to be talking about is going to be Rayleigh. Now, previously in the previous video, Rayleigh was in the tier 0 spot, and at the time I do believe he probably needed to be there. However, you know, Rayleigh is at the very least a 2.5 times multiplier, which isn't really that great. And he only gets the max multiplier under 30%, so mainly on his burst turns, he's going to be getting that boost. But for the majority of the time, he's only going to be a 2.5 captain, which honestly is pretty bad. Honestly, the way I would have preferred it to be is if it was like max HP was like maybe 2 times attack, and then maybe at about 30%, between 30% and 100% was like a scaling thing, like Crocodile. But then once you fall below 30%, you get the base 3.5. It's just the fact that it's only 2.5 base above 30% is extremely weak. And I don't know how I feel about that. But overall, you can't deny how powerful Rayleigh is, right? Rayleigh has one of the coolest special abilities in the entire game, doing so many different things. He's an orb booster, orb manipulator, fixed damage dealer. He does so many goddamn things. He's damage reducer as well, forgot about that. But the fact he's only 2.5 base as a captain is actually pretty bad. But the thing is, he's in the similar situation as Robin, where you can go ahead and utilize just about any other cerebral captain in the game, and it's going to be working very, very well. Though, it does not work very well with a friend V2 Law, because V2 Law is the fact that he heals every time you hit a perfect. So it doesn't really work very well with Rayleigh, but any other cerebral captain, Rayleigh will work really well with. But it's the same situation as Frankie, where it's hard to find a friend captain to fulfill the crew member that you want to do with the Rayleigh team. But overall, Rayleigh's a powerful unit. Cerebrals are extremely good right now, and that is exactly why he's in this position right here. And I really don't believe that any of these legends should go up to tier 0. However, if anyone was going to fall down from tier 0, it would be the Striker Law, just because 3 times base with the way that Strikers are right now, I just don't think it's going to be that effective in my personal opinion. But that is the overview of tier number 1. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Now remember, if there are any other units that you think should be in tier 1, or should drop from tier 1, or should go up to tier 0, make sure to go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below, so I can take that into consideration for the next tier list video. It would be really, really nice to hear your opinions on that. But now let's go ahead and move on to the final tier of the video, tier 0. Now we move on to the final tier of the video, tier 0. Now, you can already see this is a pretty crazy looking tier 0 compared to last month's version. So, with this addition to tier 0, we have Lucy, of course, Judge, V2 Dofi. New addition is going to be Shanks, the new V2 Shanks, which came out at the start of March. Then we have Luffy Ace, of course, is always going to be up here. He's going to be up here for a very long time. And you have the 2 brand new legends coming to One Piece Treasure Cruise Japan at the start of April, is going to be the new V2 Kuzan and V2 Akainu. So, let's go ahead and talk about the newest additions to this tier, because I've already gone over each of these characters in extensive detail in the previous tier list videos, and there hasn't been any new units that have really come out that have really affected any of these units all that much. And you know, this video is already as long as it is, so I want to go ahead and touch on the new characters that are introduced into One Piece Treasure Cruise. So let's start off with version 2 Shanks. Okay, so version 2 Shanks is a crazy legend, and initially when he first got announced, I wasn't a big fan of him personally. I didn't really think that he really fit well in One Piece Treasure Cruise and the way that the meta worked. But he was kind of like the meta shifting legend. He was the legend that was brought out to kind of say, hey, we're not going to be doing this for a while, let's go ahead and work on colors. Okay, so now they've brought out V2 Shanks. He is a legend that really fits on any colored team. Any team where you have 4 of the same color, Shanks is going to be amazing for that. Because when you use his special and there are 4 or more of the same color on your team, he gives a full board of whatever color that is. Then on top of that, gives that color a 2.25 type boost. Then we'll go ahead and add 0.9 to the chain multiplier as well. So his special is crazy good. So good. And the fact that his int is actually cool as well. You can run a full int team, especially with V2 Akainu, which we will touch on in a little bit as well. He can run a full team of int characters and deal a crap ton of damage. Like, the fact that his int is really good, because int don't have any weaknesses. They only do neutral damage to all the colors, and then they're really good against Psi units, of course. And some of the teams you can create with V2 Shanks is quite nutty, because of the fact that his int, as I mentioned, you can deal like 10 million damage to every color, and then like 60 million to Psi. It is so goddamn good. Color affinity works really well with the Shanks team. Obviously, you got characters like Neo Akainu, giving the int characters a 1.75 affinity. Great unit to use, and as I mentioned, works really well with the version 2 Sakazuki. So we touched on him a couple of days ago when all the information dropped on the brand new Akainu, but the way that he works is he's a captain that utilizes strength and int characters, and he boosts their attack by 3.25, and we'll go ahead and treat strengthen int orbs beneficial to strengthen int characters. So red will have purple as matching, and purple will have red as matching, which is quite nice. But his captain ability is bonkers, because depending on how many perfects you hit in a turn, he does up to 500 times his attack in typeless damage to a single enemy at the end of the turn. So with him as your captain, you can hit 6 perfects and then deal 1,000,000 damage to a single unit at the end of that turn. Like, what the hell is that? Like, with double Akainu, you're doing 2,000,000 damage at the end of the turn to a unit if you hit 6 perfects. What was that? Like, just that alone puts him in this tier. Like, you have to take this in consideration, right? You have to get, like, how much was it? Like, how much overheal is it? 20,000 overheal or something like that? No, it's like 200,000 overheal, right? 200,000 overheal with NL in order to get a 2,000,000 damage special ability. This guy will do it if you have 2 Akainus as a captain and you hit 6 perfects. What? Like, this is bonkers. This is so goddamn powerful. And, you know, he is only a 3.25, which is the same as Robin, right? This is the exact same as Robin. But on top of this, his special ability will change all orbs, including block, to strength and int. And as we just mentioned before, strength will count matching for purple, int is beneficial for strength, so he gives a full board of orbs to his team, will then apply a 2.25 orb boost. And we just mentioned before, Shanks is a 2.25 type boost. So, you can go ahead and make a very, very, very powerful int team with Akainu and Shanks. You get a 2.25 orb boost, 2.25 attack boost, 0.9 added to the chain multiplier with 2 units, and a full board of orbs with 2 units. The int team is crazy right now. Int is probably the best single color in the game right now, and as I mentioned, this powerful int team can deal over 10,000,000 damage to every single color and then destroy Psy units even more. And remember, you're doing that amount of damage, and like, that's only 2 units or 3 units if you count a friend captain on your team, right? Which means you have so much free space on your crew for utility-based units, which is so powerful. Like, that's so goddamn good. This int team is extremely powerful right now, and I don't really see too many things standing in the way of it as of right now, and that is the main reason why these 2 units, Shanks and Akainu, are in the tier 0. I've got to be confirmed, or TBC, on the listing for Akainu and Kuzan right now, because we don't have too much details on how they're going to be beating content all that much. Like, they literally have only just come out, or the details have just come out, so I'm leaving them here to be confirmed right now, or to be confirmed. We're gonna get more information, basically. Let me move on to Kuzan. So, Kuzan is very similar to Akainu with strength and int, except he's going to be for Psy and Quick. Psy and Quick have amazing synergy, especially because they can go ahead and use the Arc Maxim ship from the NL Forest, the NL Training Forest, and that is a ship that will boost Quick and Psy, and also has a special ability that does about 50-60k fixed damage to all enemies. So automatically, this team's actually like moving on quite nicely. And instead of being an orb booster like what Akainu is, as well as giving a full board of orbs, Kuzan gives a full board of orbs, either Quick or Psy, and they're beneficial to Quick and Psy. But he'll also apply a 2.25 type boost, and the fact that with this batch, there is a new Sengoku rare recruit coming out that will go ahead and be a 2x orb boost for this team. So automatically you got a 2.25 type boost, and with double Kuzan, it's 2 turns of a 2.25 type boost, and you've got a 2x orb booster as well. And they've gone ahead and given them a 2x color affinity booster for Quick and Psy with the new rare recruit Hina. So automatically, 4 units on your team, you've got 2 turns of a 2.25 orb boost with matching orbs, you've got a 2x orb boost and a 2x affinity boost. Automatically, this team is bonkers good. And then you have to add in, you know, maybe a chain locker or a chain booster, and any other units, any other utility units you need. Sengoku is also a utility unit, moving 4 turns of despair and 4 turns of, I think it's attack down as well. Amazing. Kuzan automatically is crazy, but Kuzan as a captain is actually pretty good as well. He's a 3.25 captain, 1.35 health. That's crazy good. Let me bring the calculator up right now. We're going to calc this, okay? So 1.35 times 1.35 gives you 1.8 HP. 1.8 times HP, and I think the Arc Maxim is like 1.2, which is about a 2x health boost. So automatically, this team's going to have about 30 to 40,000 HP, going to have a 3.25 attack boost, and if you hit in the order of Psy, Quick, so units, you hit with a Psy unit, then a Psy unit, and then a Quick unit, he becomes a 4x attack boosting captain. So automatically, like, this unit's so powerful, and as I mentioned, Quick and Psy have amazing utility already. You got V1 Boa, who's a type booster as well for Quick and Psy. You've got access to Marker, you've got access to Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi isn't as required because you've obviously got access to Kuzan, who changes all orbs, including block, into matching orbs. But if there's that case where your orbs will get shuffled every time you orb manipulate, you can go ahead and bring Shirahoshi on the team as well. And as we mentioned before, similar with the Int team with Shanks and Akainu, Kuzan being Psy and Quick, meaning that you can run a predominantly Psy team and you can deal a ton of damage to all colors and then dominate the Int bosses. But the fact with Kuzan, the way he deals a lot of damage is you have to hit in the order of Psy, Quick. So one of your units on your team still has to be a Quick unit, which is quite fine. But these two teams coming out right now are extremely powerful, and they're going to be dominating a lot of the most recent content, and I don't see a lot of things stopping them. As long as they can run the utility units they need, they're not going to be, stopped by too much in the game right now. But that pretty much does it for my reasonings as to why these units are so powerful and why they need to be in tier 0. And obviously, you got Lucy, who's still really, really powerful. Judge, who, I don't know, Judge is an interesting one, right? Because Judge is really good with Germa. Really good with the Doflamingo batch. You can run a pretty good Dofi team with the friend V2 Dofi. And then you got Luffy Ace, who's extremely powerful as well. But Judge is an interesting one because he's so restrictive with his captain ability, it kind of makes me think he might drop. But the thing is like, his best team is still so powerful and it does destroy like everything in the entire game. And even if there is like a time where you need to wait out a debuff or you have to wait for a certain thing to activate, you can do that with Judge because he has so much tankiness. He's got 15% damage reduction, 1.25 health, so you have a lot of health, especially if you use the Zunisha ship as well. You have a lot of health, and you have very, very good damage reduction. So not too many things will stand in Judge's way, and if you do have to wait, you can just tank hits for days. So it's extremely powerful with the Judge team. But I guess that kind of concludes the whole tier list video as of April 2018. So hopefully you guys did enjoy the video, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to smack the like button down below. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post on my channel, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.